Hey folks, welcome to Market Intraday Analysis by InTheMoneyStocks.com, your leaders in pure technical analysis, avoiding all that Wall Street hype. This video for Friday, July 15th, 2011 is sponsored by Realtic. Alright guys, into the charts we go. Markets are trading neutral to slightly higher today. Dow is up 16 points, Nasdaq is up 17 points, and the S&P 500 is up about 3 points on the day. So a flattish to slightly higher day. Technology is definitely leading on the back of Google's earnings. Google's earnings were fantastic. I can go to the chart right now. Take a look at the move today on Google. From yesterday's close underneath $530 to the massive gap up, basically hitting $600 today. Now the beauty of this chart, folks, I was short Google for the last week or so and made sure to cover for all my profits yesterday. Made about 15 bucks on the trade overall to the downside. Moved out knowing earnings were coming out after the bell. That's the smart decision. Remember, trading isn't about being a genius. It's about doing what's logical and smart. And again, ultimately, if you held into earnings, you're getting crushed. Here at In the Money Stocks, we all moved out before making profits, and then look at the massive gap up. I even know some traders out there that bought some calls on Google yesterday into the close. They made a ton of money, a huge amount of money. Ridiculous. In any case, Google, nice move today. That's helping the Nasdaq. Obviously, you're having sympathy moves in Apple, Baidu, Amazon, all positive today. Now, there are some other positive things out there. Citigroup came out with earnings today. It gapped up initially, but has given back those gains. These financial stocks continue to be so weak. JP Morgan had really good earnings yesterday, and look at the stock today. It's giving up a majority of those gains from yesterday's earnings announcement on the charts. So again, down 36 cents on JP Morgan. The other news out there is coming out of the oil area with PetroHawk. PetroHawk got bought out by BHP Billiton. Look at this gap up today, folks. And again, it's going to trade sideways because it's a buyout. But bottom line, up about 15 points on the day. An unbelievable move there in PetroHawk. That's helping some of the smaller energy plays, especially natural gas plays, get a nice bid today as well in sympathy of this buyout. So all of these positives out there, you have the Google, you have the PetroHawk Energy buyout. HK is the symbol there. And then obviously Citigroup's kind of a neutral based on where it's trading today. That's helping the market stay neutral to positive on this Friday after a pretty ugly week. What makes this week so ugly is that every single day, basically, you had a late day sell-off. If we zoom out on the charts, look at this. All right, you go back to the 11th, which was Monday. It gaps down and gets crushed. Tuesday, we go up until about 3 o'clock, then sell off. Wednesday, we go up initially, then sell off. Thursday, we gap up and sell off. You see the theme here? Everything is ending with a downward move in the charts. And again, that's not a pretty move here to see. Today, the markets are trying to hold up, but the question is, who's going to hold this market into the close? I mean, does anyone really want to hold this market over the weekend with what's been going on out there in Europe, what's been going on here with the debt ceiling? Now, granted, Obama's speaking on TV as we speak here, as I do this video, or he just finished up, actually, and he was basically giving, the glossy, the positive picture out there of what's going to happen with this debt ceiling, which is ultimately a way out for them to kind of raise the debt ceiling without necessarily making major cuts. I'd prefer major cuts out there personally, make sure this debt starts to come down in the U.S., otherwise we're just going to have to deal with this problem down the line. Instead, we're going to be like a Greece type situation in the not too distant future. But again, that's a while off, and in the meantime, folks, what we need to do is trade the markets. In the Money Stocks, Chief Market Strategist, myself, and Nick, we are neither bulls nor bears. All we do is make money. Up until yesterday, we were basically short the market. Covered the shorts yesterday. Started to pick up a couple longs today. I can't tell you those longs. If you want to know the longs and their current alerts out on the hot charts right now, which is part of the Research Center, you need to go take the free trial of the Research Center, get involved here, and start making money. We've been short, we've been long about 10 different times this year, easily swinging the market up and down, making great profits, continuing with our 90% success rate on trades. And again, it's all here by taking a free trial, trying us out. Worst case, you cancel it before the end and you're not charged. That simple. All right, so again, come to In the Money Stocks and check that out. In any case, markets, again, nice gap up today. What I thought was so interesting about the gap up today on the spiders is that you had a gap up into the 50 moving average. Now, as if that wasn't enough of a resistance area, you also hit this red trend line. In addition, you hit this sloping pink trend line. You might say, well, what is the pink trend line? The pink trend line was actually a neckline of a head and shoulder pattern that we retested today. And here's the head and shoulder pattern that we called out yesterday. It worked out great for us. We shorted this in an intraday basis, made some great money. As it broke down, see the shoulder, see the head, see the shoulder. As it broke down, again, shorting on the break, covering down here at the target of gap fill down here. Then look at the bounces since then. And today's gap up right back into that level. It's going to be resistance. So again, it didn't take a genius to think the markets could pull back off that opening gap up because you had three different levels. The red line, the pink line, which is the neckline, and then the 50 moving average all together. Sure enough, what happens? Markets do pull back beautifully. We go right into this kind of double bottomish area, and then you get a bounce back to the yellow line, at which point you're pulling back again. Which way is this market going to go today? That's a big question. Again, I have a hard time believing the markets will have a big up day, but I think today could be a flattish to slight up day. I mean, the Google news was very positive. You obviously have the Petro Hawk buyout, which is positive for the markets as well. And again, the markets are due for a small kind of pause day, at least on this Friday, going into the weekend oftentimes. Now, if we're up a little bit into the close, could we see a pullback to the flat line or so? Yes. I could see definitely some sellers coming out of the woodworks, not wanting to hold into the weekend at some point today. So that's also something to watch. But overall, I don't foresee a big down day. If we got a big down day today, I'd be somewhat surprised going into the weekend, I have to say. All right, let's go over a couple other odds and ends here. What's the dollar doing today? The dollar is somewhat of a non-event today. Dollar is weaker, which has been helping give the market a little bit of a bounce. But when I say a non-event, I mean there's the Google News and the Petro Hawk out there and the Citigroup out there, which is kind of overtaking, unless we get a major move in the dollar, it's going to overtake that type of maneuvering. All right, the USO, which is oil. Oil is having a solid day today. People are more positive on the economy. Therefore, the expectations for future demand of oil have risen a little bit. That's pushing oil's price up. In addition, the weakness in the dollar, a little bit of weakness in the dollar is helping as well push that up. GLD, the gold ETF, the GLD, is up today, inching up. It hasn't taken out yesterday's high yet, which is interesting as well, but nonetheless, it is doing pretty well today. I think gold is probably near a pullback level, but we have to watch very, very carefully here. A lot will depend on what happens next week. Again, watch next week, obviously, for earnings. Earnings will really start in earnest. This week we had Alcoa, we had a couple others, we had Citigroup, JP Morgan, and Google, but next week you're going to be looking at some big boys reporting. Basically 3 major players a day probably next week, if not 5 or so. It's going to affect the market, so be ready for that. Let's take a look at the SLV. SLV's up 60 cents on the day. Very nice move there. I called the 38 resistance yesterday on the gap up. It pulled back beautifully. We're retesting the 38 level today. That's still resistance, but the second hit is always a little bit weaker. Here's your level on the charts. If you get through this, where you're going on the SLV, you're going to go right up here. Okay? So watch very carefully, see if we can confirm above this white trend line. If you confirm, you're going to go higher. Now, reminder, folks, webinar is tomorrow. We have a major methodology webinar we're presenting. You can find that on our website, inthemoneystocks.com. The key is about this webinar. Not only are you going to learn cycle counts and how to tell when a cycle is here, and count systems when a market is going to turn, or a chart, or really any chart. It can be Forex, it can be commodities or currencies or whatever you want to do there. But bottom line is, that's going to be taught in this webinar. In addition, if you join this webinar, there will be a select research report given out to those members next week on a small cap with explosive opportunities to the upside. Again, I think this small cap that I'm going to give out will probably run 100% in the next month or two. That's going to be how big it is, personally. So again, if you join, then you'll get access to that. If you don't, then you don't get access. That's simple. So take that webinar. And otherwise, you guys want to make sure you take that free trial. Test out the chat room. Take the free trial 7 days. Test out the research center. Take the free trial 7 days as well. Get some plays, because we're throwing out key plays now, guys, as we're coming into a major date in the charts. Be ready, make profits. Taking a look at a couple other stocks today, ExxonMobil's having a little bit of a positive day, up 55 cents, while Chevron is trading up a little bit. Chart-wise, there's nothing major going on here. It's more like a Friday. If you got up here, this would be a scalp in the afternoon session. If you pull back maybe down to gap fill, double bottom, 200 down here, this would be a scalp as well on the long side. But again, as of now, Friday afternoon's upon us. We'll see what happens here. And again, enjoy. Let's profit some more. It's a great week. Some of our members said they had the best week ever here at InTheMoneyStocks.com. It only gets better. Take care. And again, take the free trials of the Research Center and Intraday Stock Chat. Take care, guys.